Hello everyone and welcome to this next LM simulation video here on YouTube. So today we are going to be launching another series here on the channel. This one is called Route Reviews, and Route Reviews is essentially going to be me taking a look into certain DLC that's downloadable content that's been provided for the game, both third party and first party from developers, and also second party were available. And I'm just going to be having a look at these and seeing what's available essentially, and I'm going to be judging them, giving you basically a whole route review to basically stand by and judge whether these routes are worth investing into. Obviously, some of these routes involve paying upwards of $24.99 for some of them, so this is just really a review into whether these routes are worth it for the value for money and what you need to get them running. A lot of the freeware routes that I'll be reviewing as part of Route Review will require a lot of payware add-ons, some more than others, but I'll go into detail each of them as and when we look into them. So for this first Route Review, we are looking into a recently released Birmingham Cross City. Now this is developed by Dovetail Games, who are the people who have developed Train Sim 2021, and they've supported the game essentially ever since it first started out. So essentially, This route runs all the way from Lichfield Trent Valley in the north, runs down to Bromsgrove, through Birmingham New Street in the middle, and also down on the branch to Redditch via Alverchurch. It's a lovely route. It's been done in very nice detail. I must admit this is it's a new side to Dovetail Games. Back when they were releasing routes and they didn't have Train Sim World in development, I think there were a lot more routes coming out that maybe were a lot more detailed. Standards, I wouldn't say they've slipped, but standards have been a little bit questionable recently with regards to certain bits and bobs. So when it came to West Coast Mainline South, which was another one of their recent releases, there were a lot of issues with that route when it came to FPS, frames per second, and there were a lot of issues with the route. It was extremely lag heavy. It was very laggy in certain areas, almost unplayable, a lot of people said. So that just goes to show that the QA, the quality assurance checks, hadn't been put in place for that add-on, or they were done and rushed very quickly. That's something that we don't like to see when we're paying $24.99 for an add-on. So I'm just hoping that the QA hasn't gone downhill ever since the likes of Matt Pedalston and the people over at Dovetail Games have moved on to Train Sim World. I don't like to see the existing game and the add-ons that they're providing for that going downhill. So there was an issue with Birmingham Cross City. There seems to be always a little niggle with these routes when they come out, but they're often put right. Dovetail Games, I'll give it to them, they've done all they can with the West Coast Mainline South route, and it's now fantastic. It works very well on my machine. I don't have any issues. I don't know if anyone else does, but yeah, I don't have any issues anymore, so that's been dealt with. Should have been dealt with prior to release, but at least it's been dealt with and acknowledged now by the developers, so that's good to see. Birmingham Cross City had the issue with the Class 323, which is a whole new add-on for the game. The game, I would say, has never seen a 323 before. It's a little bit of a white lie. Pennine Pacer and the guys over at the Manchester Stations to Huddersfield route, they've worked on I think it was a more of one of those Class 323s where you can't drive it, but you can have it as AI. So they had a 323 in the game. It looked quite good. It was modelled quite well, but it was only available as AI. So this is a physical, real-life driving version of the Class 323. This had looping sound issues. So when it was first released, it did have some sound issues. So it's worth noting that upon the first release of Birmingham Cross City, there were issues with the Class 323. I believe these are still present. I'm open to be corrected by that, but I believe these sound issues are still present. There hasn't been an update by Dovetail Games, as far as I'm aware, that fixed the looping sound issue. People have found their own way around it. I have a link in the description if you are interested in purchasing this route, to purchase the route, and I've also got a link in the description below that which states a sound pack sort of modification that's been released over at Alan Thompson Sim, and it's been released by a guy called Steve Green. Credit to him, he's worked very hard in making sure the UFO Space Invader type sounds on the Class 323 are a lot better, and instead of cutting in and out with the issues, those issues have now been ironed out. So that's good to see. So if you are interested in getting this route, I would definitely recommend getting that bit of extra DLC, freeware, extra DLC to get it to work. You do need the Class 365 enhancer pack and the Class 390 enhancer pack in order to get this sound pack to work. So I'll be showing off the route with that sound pack applied. So this is basically a perfect version of the Birmingham Cross City route. Anyway, so without further ado, let's jump into the route. We're going to be doing this scenario today across the city. This is a career scenario developed by Dovetail Games, and this one is described as on a nice summer's day, you'll be driving the train to Oscar 52 from the Lichfield Trent Valley through to Bromsgrove. It is lunchtime and the line is pretty quiet with no delays so far. So this is around a 72-minute scenario, so this will be a bit more of a longer video than usual. If you do like the shorter videos, then this certainly isn't for you. This is going to be a whole route review of the Birmingham Cross City, apart from the section down to Redditch, which may be covered in a future video. But this will basically be the whole route, all the way from Lichfield Trent Valley in the north through to Bromsgrove, which is one of the most southernmost places on the route. So without further ado, let's get into the scenario, and I'll see you in there. Thank you. So this scenario we're in now states, "Good afternoon, driver. Please release the doors and get the train ready to depart on time at 13:50. The line is quiet at this time and there are no reported problems. So this should be a nice and easy run through to Bromsgrove. Have a look at your timetable before departure and have a nice trip." So once again, this does have the Class 323 sound pack applied from Alan Thompson Sim. So let's get in, release the doors. We've got a green signal, so we can turn the DRA off. So let's have a look at the tail lights and turn them off. Put the day headlights on. This is all a new customised cab that's been developed by Dovetail Games. It's quite nice, I must admit. Nice adjustable blinds there. Don't think you can do anything with the window, which is quite sad. I was expecting to be able to do something with the window, but never mind. So that's fine. Can't do anything with the displays, I don't believe, any of the destination displays. This is your passenger view from the inside. Pretty standard, nothing special here. Standard textures, nothing special. I reckon it's your bog standard textures. Probably some of the worst ones that I've seen more recently. There's been a lot better than this release recently, but hey ho. I think the cab's been done to a very nice standard. When it comes to career scenarios, you get scored quite heavily and penalised quite heavily as well if you don't follow it to the latter. So I'm going to try my best on this scenario and be a good driver, but it's never that easy, as you know. There's a lot of speed fluctuations on this route, so we'll see how it goes. If I do end up in the minuses, then do forgive me. Having a look what we've got up here. We've got an option to have the saloon lights on and off, which is interesting. None of the other buttons work. I think everything up here is pretty much, yeah. Can't press it, that's fine. We've got a DRA though, so that's interesting. You've got some wipers. We've even got an air conditioner. And you've got a nice driver to guard buzzer. So pop yourself in forward. So allow you to hear the sounds of the unit, which is quite special. Class 323s are famous for their interesting sounds, UFO type sounds people keep saying. If someone in the description could please tell me, someone in the comment section could please tell me where that horn's from. It sounds familiar, but I can't place my finger on what it's from. So the route from the outset looks quite detailed. It's very well done for all intents and purposes. It's a very well detailed route with some lovely scenery and vegetation available, line-side vegetation. It's been done to quite a high standard, so I'm not overly familiar with the route, so I'll be doing a lot of driving with the HUD, just because I don't have that much route knowledge on this route. I know some routes better than others, but this route I can safely say is not one I'm completely kosher with. Also got to bear in mind this is a career scenario, so you'll be penalised quite heavily if you don't follow these speed restrictions. Seems to be alright. Yeah, I do seem to like the route. I think it's a very well detailed route. It's, Dovetail games don't tend to produce poorly detailed routes. I think all their routes are done to quite a decent standard, to be honest. And some routes will stand out more than others. One of the best routes I think they've done more recently, Portsmouth Direct Line down to the extension that went, extended the line down from, I think they extended it from Woking through to London Waterloo. That was a very, very nice add-on. I certainly enjoyed that. And ever since then they've been producing some good quality content. It's just been a matter of quality assurance, making sure that everything works. I think the problem has been definitely the testing phase of things. In terms of detail, the routes are pretty bang on. I'll give them that. So, this is our first station calling point. You'll be able to see the exterior of the train now. Sorry if I haven't given you a good view of the exterior of the train just yet. This is it. So this is your class 323. I am going to take a nice screenshot while we're here. Might as well. So I think it looks quite good from the outset. I think it's very nicely detailed for sure. We're going to get a driver to go off us, so we'll just go off our own accord. I do think the route could do with some extra detail. I do think it's very well detailed for a Dovetail Games route, especially that you've got these little signs here that you wouldn't normally see. Not your standard sign, something that's been obviously custom made for the route, which is very nice to see. I think for the all intents and purposes, the route is a brilliant route, and I think it displays off what you really can do with the game if you have the abilities to do so. I mean, it's not going to be anything overly special to the standard of your Armstrong Powerhouse routes, or to the standard of your Just Trains routes. A lot of these routes are extremely well detailed, but they're all modelled in their own special way. I don't know if people have compared routes, but Wherry Line just looks nothing like your typical Dovetail Games route. Your typical Dovetail Games route doesn't look anything like your typical Just Trains route. They're all done in their own special way. They all use their own assets and like to make the most of what they have available. I certainly do enjoy the Dovetail Games routes, and I got this add-on purely because, not because of the Birmingham Cross City. There have been iterations of the Birmingham Cross City in the past, freeware versions with lots of payware needed to get it to run, but mainly for the class 323, mainly so that I could be able to get this in a northern reskin and drive it on routes such as the West Coast Main Line Missing Link. It's a very nice sounding train, looking train, especially now that the the issues with the sound have been ironed out a little bit. It certainly sounds a bit better now. That sound pack makes a huge difference, and it's sort of transformed the game, because a lot of people, when the add-on first came out, a lot of people who drove the Class 323 in real life, a lot of train drivers, a lot of people who have experienced Class 323s in real life, maybe it's your local train, maybe you have it either with Northern or with West Midlands trains. A lot of people like that commented and said, it doesn't sound quite right, I don't like how the motor's cut out after certain miles an hour. And they're quite right to say that, because it's we're trying to create an accurate simulation. I mean, Dovetail Games are trying to create an accurate simulation to their customers. So, but now this has all been ironed out, it is very much much more enjoyable experience. That's for sure. I do like it, because we're on our way from Lichfield Trent Valley down through to Bromsgrove. We're going to go through a lot of scenic parts of the route, parts of the route you wouldn't normally go past if you're focusing on the core section of the route. But because we've come all the way out to Lichfield, you get a much more rounded view of the route. You get a much more diverse view of how the scenery changes between the wonderful countryside out here to the route itself. Let's see how bad my stopping is on this train. We're still trying to get used to it. Each train has its own properties and its own braking values, and this train has its own braking values for sure. We've overshot that. Have we? Have we? Have we? No, we haven't. Perfect. That's quite good, actually. I quite enjoyed that. So if you have a look here, just get a nice little screenshot if I could. Be nice. Trying to get this nice little station in as much as I can. I do like these are real life here to stop people from trespassing and stuff like that. Very nice to see them in the game. Another bit of lovely detail that they didn't need to put in, but they have put in. So if any of you are interested, the next station I am going to be doing a departure sound from the exterior, and then the station after that I'll be doing one from the passenger view, so you can just be able to judge the sounds without any commentary of the traction motors from two alternate views. Now the top speeds of these trains, I believe these 323s can go up to 100 or 90. I think it's more 90. Yeah, that's it. 90 miles an hour. They can go up to 90. So they're quite fast units. Although I think it's quite rare to get them to go up to 90 on this route. I think the maximum speed you can get up to is 60. Might get a little bit higher as we cross the route. This will be the first time though that I've gone all the way down to Bromsgrove. I've done the route so far between Lichfield Trent Valley and Birmingham, but I've never gone south of that. So you'll be able to see an accurate depiction of the route, and it'll be my first time travelling all the way down to Bromsgrove on that section of the line. Let's have a look at us passing. Very nice. I mean, I didn't expect amazing sounds, but it's got decent sounds, and especially now they've been fixed by the guys over at Alan Thompson Sim, the very kind people who work behind the scenes on the beautiful freeware that we get, whether that be routes, patches, sound fixes, reskins, or anything. You know, I think it's quite powerful to have a third-party community, and to have one as large as the one that we have for Train Sim 2021 is actually a gift for the game. I think without all the third-party aspects of it, I think it would actually be, pretty much 75% less than what we have at the moment. I think it's quite powerful what we have in terms of third-party, and it makes up a lot of what the game is now. So I'm just trying to see whether we'll naturally get below the speed limit or whether I'll be penalised. Oh no, just seem to have done that. And now we're about 0.2 of a mile. I'm going to start slowing us down using notch 1. Try to see if I can get a good feel for the braking of this unit, or whether I need some practice still. It's got very good brakes, I must admit, so even 0.3 of a mile away you can brake from 50 miles an hour with ease. It's quite nice. When you think you're going to overrun, you might be able to claw it back like we did at the previous station. So here we are. As I said, we are going to be doing an outside departure for this station. So I will shut up and let you experience the external sounds here at Blake Street. So I would say the sounds of the 323 are a lot more prominent in real life. It sounds like they're toned down in this game. It's like they're quite quiet, maybe 50% of how loud they should be. And in real life, when a 323 departs the station, you really know about it. It makes a very, very loud UFO style sound, which is quite famous for. And I think they've tried to recreate that. They've tried to put in the sounds, and they've done it as best they can. But I think with the looping issues, there's a lot of issues with the sound. I genuinely believe from a customer point of view, it is way too quiet for what it should be. I think it should be a lot louder than what it is. But we'll be able to experience a first-hand point of view of the sounds on departure in the passenger view from this station here, which is Butler's Lane. Nice to see that they've gone to the effort of putting in the ticket machines and stuff like that, as well as taking actual station posters that you would get at these stations and putting them into the information boards. It's a pity it's so low res, but you're never going to get it to be perfect. So also got nice little platform information screens, and that's nice to see. Nothing too accurate, but I think it's a good route nonetheless. So let's hear the departure sounds. So as I thought, they're pretty much non-existent in the passenger view. That's quite sad. I don't know if any of you have tried the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 319 pack. It's not an enhancement pack, it's a whole unit pack. And if you go into the passenger view of that, you can hear the 319 motor sounds so loudly and so vividly if you're sat under the pantograph in that coach. And it's literally just like how it is in real life, and it is picture perfect. I know you're not going to get the same from Dovetail games. It's a far cry to be able to get anything of anywhere near that caliber, but it just seems to me that even the basic sounds of this are quite off. Even with the sound pack that's being provided from the third-party developers at Alan Thompson Sim, I think you're just trying to improve something that really just needs to be reworked from the ground up. It's just one of them, unfortunately. It's a good concept. It's a decent bit of DLC, but the sounds are never going to be perfect. As long as you remain in the cab, it's a playable experience. But I think to call it anything more than that would be incorrect. So we have just missed the free car marker there, but don't worry. Seems to still be within the station, so that's fine. I think the motor sounds, they tend to cut out a little bit too quickly, so it tends to go, as you're braking, you're meant to hear sort of the motor sounds go down and down and down, but I just think it just cuts off a little bit too quickly, so it's, maybe I need to have a new experience on a 323, maybe I'll find out it's different in real life, but I just tend to think it's either a little bit too quickly going up or a little bit too quickly going down, but it seems to be a bit of a rush sort of sound, unfortunately. We are on a timeliness penalty now. I don't know what I've done wrong. I've been trying to keep to this timetable. So. There's a problem with career scenarios. The minute you try to do anything but drive the train, like have a look outside, the whole scenario is just up in arms. So these timings must be very difficult to achieve, that's for sure. I must admit, it's probably the best part of this whole train is the horn. I think the horn is fantastic. It's probably the best part. I haven't heard a Dovetail game standard horn sound that good in quite a while. It certainly looks like we're running a little bit late, maybe a minute late at the moment, which is a bit sad, but these timings are never easy to achieve. Trying to sort of balance the speed limit with everything else. I mean, regardless of the sounds of the train, I think there's been a hell of a lot of detail has been put into creating the route. I think the route is an extremely vivid recreation of the Birmingham Cross City. It's not a local route to me, so I'd be a bit biased if I said it is exactly like how it's meant to be. It might not be. It might be very different than this in real life. But I feel that you've got litter on the tracks there and everything, and bits and bobs and clutter. Which is nice to see, the fact that they've gone a little bit more than you would normally go with recreating these routes. They've gone a little bit further. They've had the time and the effort to be able to make the routes look good. It's just a matter of doing the same with the stock, making the stock look fantastic. If anyone's got any doubts with regards to frame rate, I can tell you I'm running at around 60 frames per second at the moment. I mean, I'm getting an absolutely perfect experience. I've got no issues whatsoever. When you get closer to Birmingham, of course, it's going to go down to about 30, maybe 25. If you've got a decent graphics card and a decent amount of RAM and a decent amount of processing power, it should be alright. So if anyone's worried that Dovetail games are going to have the same issues they had previously with performance issues, doesn't seem to be any performance issues on this route. I seem to find it to be extremely performance friendly, so at least that issue has been ironed out, that quality assurance issue. I think in terms of a route, in terms of value for money, for what you get for your $24.99, it is certainly worth it. The issue that I mainly had with Dovetail games is value for money in terms of how many pounds you're paying for how many miles you get. But it seems like in this scenario, and in this route for sure, it seems like it's a good compromise, because you're not only getting the route, but you're also getting the class 323 with it. So you're also getting the route and a bit of traction for it. Now the traction alone would be $11.99 if they sold it separately. It seems to me that's about how much they tend to sell their trains for these days. So I think alone the trains are worth $11.99, which means by that point you're looking at you're paying about £14 for a pretty good route. For all intents and purposes, it's certainly worth it. I'm not quite sure if the Class 350 comes into that. A lot of people will have the Class 350 already if you've got West Coast Main Line South and routes like that. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into which version of the Class 350 they're using. I believe it would be the same one for West Coast Main Line South. I don't use that 350 anyway. I've got Armstrong Powerhouse covering me on that front. There we go. This is Wild Green. So, we've been doing all our stops quite well. We've done quite a few already. We're on to Chester Road after this, then Erdington, Gravelly Hill, Aston, Birmingham New Street, which is in 6 miles, and then we couple up to another unit by the looks of it. And then we're onwards to Birmingham New Street again, 5 ways, and then we head south on the route I've never done before to University, Selly Oak, Bourneville, Kings Norton, Northfield, Longbridge, many stops basically. This is going to be quite a long video, so there'll be a nice little view on this route, which is pretty decent, to be honest. So now we're getting into Birmingham. You can see how we've changed and how the route has adapted actually, and changed. We were in a nice sort of countryside setting, and now we've got allotments left, right, and Chelsea. Also got some high rises coming up in the distance, as well as lots of housing, communal housing, and bits and bobs. So it's certainly getting busier, and you'll find that as we approach Birmingham, it does get busier, that is for sure. And the stations get closer together. That's something I also tend to find on this route. It is a very suburban route, so if you like your stations close together, you're always being kept on your toes. Certainly the route for you. I try to find it to be quite fun to see what speed you can get up to between stations on this route. It's quite fun to do that. So. There you go. That's the perfect stopping position, although I bet train sim doesn't agree. So this is Chester Road, so onwards our next calling point will be Erdington. I think that's Erdington, yeah, Erdington. Not a route that I'm familiar with. I've still got to do this route in real life. It'll be one of the routes that I would like to tick off at some point. No great rush. If they had 319s on it, there would be. But yeah, certainly no great rush. You can see how quickly the station stops are. We're already meant to be at Erdington, so we're certainly running late. I'd like to see what speed we can get up to between here and Erdington. That is a very, very short distance between those two stations. You can literally see the end of the platform at Erdington from there at the Chester Road station. So I'll start braking for Erdington. It does keep you on your toes, this route, and it's quite good. There's also, it's not just these scenarios, you can also get extra scenarios for this route from Alan Thompson Sim. You can also get extra scenarios from other people that would like to publish them via their own sites. There's other trains come along here too, because it's the main line. This is also the main line out of Birmingham that goes along to. If I'm right, it's the main line that goes along to Derby. Although I'm not entirely sure. I could be completely wrong on that one. Lichfield Trent Valley. I'm just trying to think. Lichfield Trent Valley High Level. Maybe it's Tamworth. I think it's Tamworth that is the main line that goes across to Derby and those stations. But you can still do ECS runs down here from cross country and various stations. So there is quite a variety of bits and bobs you can do along here. There's also railhead treatment trains you can drive up and along here. You've got along here Kings Norton, which is where the railhead treatment trains are based down there when they work along this line. There is a whole network around Birmingham that I would love to see in the game. We haven't got in the game at the moment. There's a network that goes via stations such as Bescott Stadium. Now that route isn't in the game either. I'd like to see this expanded in the future though. It certainly holds a lot of hope in terms of expansion and getting it over to Wolverhampton and stations like that. Some things I'd love to see in the game, and routes that I'd like to do in real life as well. Now we're approaching Gravelly Hill. Fairly sure I'm going a little bit too fast at the moment. Way too fast, I believe. But these brakes on the 323 are very, very good. They're very effective, and sometimes you can be going from way too fast to almost way too slow. It's fantastic. In fact, we are going to stop a little bit too short here, which is quite amazing considering where we were a minute ago. There you go. So this is Gravelly Hill. After this we'll be onwards to Aston and then Birmingham New Street, where we'll be doing some coupling up, and then we're all the way down to Bromsgrove, where we get there for about 3 o'clock. So yeah, we've got about 40 minutes yet of this scenario left. Hoping that we'll be able to get it done nice and quickly though, if we do the station stops, and we'll be there in next to no time, basically. So the maximum speed we've been able to get up to on this route so far is 60 miles an hour. Not sure if you can go any faster when you get south of Birmingham, but we'll certainly find out. I know there has been some instructional changes that have taken place in Birmingham New Street, whereby the departure speeds have been increased for trains on certain platforms. That is, I believe, a local operating notice, not a rule as per such just yet. I believe while they're trialling it, it's apparently a local operating notice. So, not something I don't think that is incorporated into this route. I think we're still on the old 15 mile an hour or 10 mile an hour into and out of Birmingham New Street. Certainly it's a clogged up station. It's got a lot of platforms, it serves a lot of destinations, and I think in terms of what it does, it's a bit too busy. But going over the Spiggotty Junction at the moment, we've got a neutral section coming up, which is nice to see that Dovetail Games have implemented neutral sections in this route. One does wonder whether the line light will go out once we go over the neutral section. Just keep an eye out. As we approach into Aston here. And here we are, this is Aston Station. Bit of a naughty S-car marker, it's blocked behind those buildings. So unless you got the route knowledge, you wouldn't know what that is. Out there. So I wonder if we've got the neutral section coming up near and around here. Would sound about right. So this is the busy Aston station. You can tell we're in suburban Birmingham now. It's very, very built up. A lot of houses, a lot of buildings, a lot of close stations. We're getting penalised now for being late. Something you can never really do is balance out these career scenarios. I don't tend to do them very often. I'm only doing a career scenario for this video. For all intents and purposes, this is a Dovetail Games add-on, so I wanted to showcase exactly what Dovetail Games have done in terms of the scenarios, just to give you basically a view on exactly the experience you can do, because you can replicate this exactly as I am if you wanted to. So make the same mistakes I'm making, such as powering up a little bit too quickly. So that would suggest there's a neutral section because they're transformers. So I think it must be, oh, you can see a little white sign here, this will be the neutral section. So you can't power up to 70 just yet. There's a line light down here, that's a line volt light that should go out once we go over these little ramps. No. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know why you put neutral sections in a route if the trains don't work with them. It's interesting. I've never really understood that logic. Why would you put neutral sections in a route if the trains that you're including in the route don't make any difference whether you go over them or not? So, fair enough. We'll continue onwards to Birmingham. Try to go as fast as possible now, just to make that the lost time. Hopefully we will make back that time once we do our coupling once we get into Birmingham. trying to get us down to these speeds as quickly as possible, make the most of the fast agility of the class of 323, which is quite a diverse and a very agile unit. It's very good for these stopping services because it's nice and fast up the speeds, and it's nice and quickly on the deceleration as well. Something that you do need, especially when you're going over this Bruce House junction, which is notorious for random speed changes very quickly with quite steep gradients as well. We're going up a 1 in 50 now. Don't want to slow down to this 32 quickly, but once you start going downhill, that makes it very easy to break the speed limit. Well, let's take us down to about 25, just so that we know we're going to be alright when we go down this hill. And then you can keep an eye on the speed limit as we go down into Birmingham. So this is where Birmingham comes into its own. Over here you've got where the High Speed 2 station, it's Birmingham Curzon Street, I believe it used to be, is being built. That's all still in construction. I think it's going to be magnificent once it's finally built. It's going to be a truly very nice structure. A lot of people are against High Speed 2. I'm for High Speed 2 for all intents and purposes. It's nothing personal. It's not that I don't like the Chilterns or anything. Areas of natural beauty, I'm sure they'll be preserved in some other forms, but progress has to be made, and very, very similar action was taken against High Speed 1 when it was first produced. I mean, that gorgeous Kent countryside with all the oast houses was practically all torn up to build High Speed 1. Yeah, we've got the 10 mile an hour limit coming up. Slow down for as we head into New Street. I mean, all intents and purposes, we're only 50 seconds late. So. But High Speed 2 still happened. Sorry, High Speed 1 still happened, and that went ahead, and it looks like High Speed 2 is still happening. I don't think any protests or anything like that are going to stop High Speed 2. You'd have to have a pretty large case to go against High Speed 2, considering it's the UK government that have proposed it and they've put the money in for it. So. These 10 mile an hour speed limits don't really help with trains coming into and out of the station. It tends to be the reason a lot of trains are delayed. So there's a nice 350 action over here, and bits and bobs, which is nice to see. I believe this is basically a default scenario, so this is just using the default stock. And we will have to stop short here at Birmingham platform 12A, so that we can couple up to the unit in front. Which is just round this corner. Interesting, there's a bay platform there at Birmingham. It doesn't look like they use it by the looks of it. It's barriered off. Maybe someone can inform me. I've never noticed any trains go from that bay platform. So we'll stop here and we'll open the doors. Once we've opened the doors, we can then proceed to couple up to this unit in front. So what I'll do is I'll turn our lights off. Don't need to turn the tail lights on because we'll couple it up. Make sure that everything's ready. What time we drew off Birmingham? 14:33. Yeah, we'll be on time. That's fine. Need to be quick. Doors are closing. In order to be ready for the rush hour, you now have to couple up to the unit in front, as this extra capacity will be needed when the train returns north from Bromsgrove. Request permission to pass the signal and proceed. There we go. So we've got the two white lights. Probably not something you'd do in Birmingham when you sound the horn. It's so loud under the station, but yeah, we'll couple up. Should be a nice simple procedure. Right, there we go. Release passenger doors again and change cabs. Oh god, I'm still moving. Make sure the destination display in the front unit is correct, otherwise please change it accordingly. Okay, I believe that should be just an F7, F8 job like normal, so we'll release the doors again. I'll change cabs first, so it's in emergency. That's there. There we go. Nope. That's better. That's the right cab. Put it into neutral, turn off the DRA, and release the doors. Let's check if the destination displays are right. Yeah, they are. We're going to Bromsgrove. That's fine. So we can turn the tail lights on and turn our lights on to day ahead, which is good. So there we go. So if you want to experience the Class 350, is 350 arriving in the station now, so let's have a look. This is the default Class 350 that comes with the route. None of this fancy Ontram powerhouse anything. For a default model, it looks quite good. No sounds, very quiet, that's for sure, which is unlike a 350. It tends to be quite loud as well. Oh, 350 central, blimey. How many do you need? We'll get back in our cab. Ready for the off in a moment. A timeliness penalty, even though that we're technically on time now. It's a very harsh scoring system is in use on this. Still only 10 miles an hour on the departure, which I believe has now been increased to 20 or 15 or something like that in a local operating notice, special operating notice, SON or whatever they call them these days. So we now continue south. This service holds now at 5 ways: University, Selly Oak, Bourneville, Kings Norton, Northfield, Longbridge, and finally Bromsgrove for 3 o'clock. So it'll be interesting to see. Everything south of here is new. I haven't seen it. I've done the route plenty of times because there is a route in the game that goes from Bristol to Birmingham, and that includes this full section of the route between here down to Bromsgrove, and it even features the Licky, the line that goes down there, and you can even feature the line over to Worcester, and then through to Bristol Temple Meads. So that was already available in the game. It's interesting to see where they're taking it now, and what's happened and what's changed, differences between that route and this route, the obviously Dovetail Games design route. Just want to get to this 30 and then we'll continue to power up. I know the tunnels out of Birmingham aren't the fastest tunnels in the world. Might be hard doing this in an EMU. You should try doing it in a HST. Load 7 like the cross-country ones. I will be doing a video on that route, by the way, the Bristol to Birmingham route. It's a very, very good route. It's not new. It's been out now for well over a year. It's been out, so certainly worth getting if you do have the DLC required to get it to work. Because it is one of those routes that you, I believe, you need DLC to get it to work. Could be mistaken with that, but most freeware or subware or anything third party these days needs third party assets to work. So here we are, we're now approaching into Five Ways Station. So first impressions, very, very nice. I think the standard set for stations on this route are quite high, to be honest. So. I think the braking on this unit is quite severe. I don't know whether it's like that in real life, but it's very, very it's very effective. I'm not quite sure if it's that effective in real life, but it does the job. Turn around with the old aircon. Hopefully we won't get a timeliness penalty this time, because we're technically on time. There we go, timeliness bonus, that's nice to see. Onwards, our next station is University for what I believe must be Birmingham University for the sound of it. Not sure if we follow in the tramway here, but I think there must be there's a section of tramway we do follow something or another, I believe. It might be the canal. I'm just trying to remember it from the last time I did the that route Bristol to Birmingham, which is a fantastic route. It's just been many, many years since I've done it now. It does look like it's the canal we're following here, which is featured in the advertisement for this route. Actually, is this part of the route. Yeah, nice to see some canal boats and stuff like that. Yeah. Right, let's go up to 50. Very nice. Lovely part of the route there. I want to get a screenshot in a moment once we've stopped speeding. Oh yeah, this is an ideal spot for a screenshot this. Lovely, right. Speeding once again because this train loves to speed. And I hate to get full scores on career scenarios. I just hate career scenarios. The scoring system I find is extremely harsh, very, very unfair. You've literally got to be perfect or nothing. It's it's very unfair. Which I guess is quite like the scoring system of real life train drivers. I don't know whether I hear horror stories about it, but a lot of the train driver assessments and stuff like that is also very, not similar to this in that sense, but similar in terms of harshness to how harsh this system is. You get one thing wrong, you can fail the whole test. It's very, very difficult. So University, lovely station by the looks of it. Seems to me that they've used a lot of customatics for a lot of these stations, and this one is certainly one of those. So this is University Station. The Queen Elizabeth Hospital and the University of Birmingham. Yep, absolutely. So fantastic bit of asset usage around here. They've certainly created a city vibe. I'm getting a massive city vibe from here. A lovely, lovely part of the route. Very, very photogenic, and you've got the beautiful canal along here. The only part that I don't like is these textures, which I saw in the initial screenshot for the route, but dreadful. I mean, why would you feature those screenshots when you're showing off a route? When you want to make people buy it, you want to appeal to people. I think those textures are just naff, and they just need redoing completely, because, you know, from whatever aspect you're looking, the minute I look at this canal work, I'm like, ooh, horrible, horrible, horrible texture work. And I think some third-party developers like Just Trains and the guys over at Alan Thompson Sim, I don't think they would ever produce textures like that. They wouldn't pass. I think it would simply be a straightforward fail for their routes. Once again, these are held to a different standard. These are a different style of routes. Anyhow, we're now here at Selly Oak. We've just gone over the canal. A lot of these stations are quite similar in terms of the footbridge and everything like that, which I'm not complaining about. Is nice to see. Sail past the free stop marker like usual. Oh, blimey, we're not a, keep forgetting about that. Half the carriage off the platform. We're not a free car anymore. We're a 6 car. About there, I think. But now we're late. That's for sure. So we've got to keep remembering now we're a 6 car. That's one of the things I quite like about the Class 319. It's got these car marker thingies, and you can either select 4, 8 or 12. When you're a 4 car, you have it on the 4 car, and then it's sort of a reminder for the driver, because you know, you could start off a journey as a 3 car and end up as a 6 car. You never know. Although I'm sure train drivers are a little bit more attentive than I am, that's for sure. Right, off we go. I'm going to shove us in notch 4 so we don't lose any time. We are late, I can see that already. Try and get us up to 60 between here and Bourneville, which is going to be interesting. We've got a mile, so it should be possible. Just trying to see how quickly I can get this done. I mean, from a point of view for the route, I think it's fantastic, and it just gets better. I think it's a very well designed route, extremely well done, using the assets that we have in the game already. It really shows off what you can do if you put your mind to it, and I think it'd be nice to see a route like this in Trains in World. That's for sure. I like to say that is for sure. Keep us at this speed for as long as possible so we don't lose any time. I know we're going to be late anyway into Bourneville, but hey, start slowing down. Some nice use of 3D trees along here, that's for sure. Very nice use of 3D trees. As someone who doesn't build routes themselves, I can't really compare it to any of my route building work. I've never really done any route building. The only stuff I've ever learned how to do is the only thing I've ever learned how to do is electrify routes. Quite notice the purple here, in case you're wondering. I believe that has something to do with the fact that Cadbury's are based here. Have a look. Bourneville being the original name of some of the Cadbury's chocolate. Maryvale Road. Someone might be able to correct me on that, but I do believe Bromsgrove is Cadbury World and Sturtley. There you go, Cadbury World. Somewhere I'd always like to go, and I think the station really reflects that. Lovely and purple, beautiful look to the station, that's for sure. And it's faithfully recreated here in Train Sim 2021. So onwards we go. We're now onwards to Kings Norton, then Northfield, Longbridge, and finally Bromsgrove. So we are slowly getting there, that's for sure. There's a nice ship here, I believe. Or is this it here? Oh, look at that. Nice bit of ship work. Stay alert here because you do start to get some speed restrictions and different signals. See if we can get into Kings Norton as quickly as possible. Trying to balance the speed with trying to get down for these speed restrictions as well. Never an easy task, but I think we managed it just now. There you go. And we're now into Kings Norton, so this is where the railhead treatment train lives. The line we're joining from here is the Birmingham Avoider line. I believe, have a look here, it's not included, unfortunately, the Camp Hill line, but it'd be nice to see something like that in the game. I realised that it's not quite as long as the platform today. I'd count that. I think if I was the guard, I'd count that. But Train Sim doesn't like it anyway. So this is Kings Norton Station. So something that I do quite like is a little bit of unusual texturing. Is as you can see up here, coffee stained class 323 destination sort of list, which is quite nice to see. You can clearly see it's quite an old list because this is rusted and there's coffee stains all over it. Someone's written some extra spots in there. You've got Manchester Airport. I think it's interesting. Right, let's get on our way. So it looks like we're up to 70 miles an hour now. We've got 1.4 miles, so we'll truly be able to go flat out now. Probably this is the highest speed you'll get on this route, is this section of it, by the looks of it. So onwards we go. Next stop is Northfield as we traverse south. I think the route is getting a little bit better, must admit. Something you will notice when we get down to Bromsgrove, and I didn't mention it at the start of the video, I do apologise for that. I have actually altered the route a little bit, well not myself, but I downloaded a route alteration that is available for the route. I believe that is also available from Alan Thompson Sim. If it is also available from Alan Thompson Sim, then I will include it in the route, in the description. I believe it's on the Alan Thompson Sim site as Cross City a new OHLE patch, and it basically includes the newer overhead lines that they've got a little bit further south when you get to the Bromsgrove area. So here we go into Northfield. See if I can do this without any use of the HUD. Yeah, that's quite good for someone who has no use of the HUD. Very nice indeed. Well, this is Northfield, so we're officially quite south of Birmingham now. Passengers must not alight here. You've even got a nice lift that's been faithfully recreated. Beautiful. Nice assets here that's been used, that's for sure. Definitely. This is Northfield Station. Looks like we've got some derelict platforms here in the middle, which is nice to see. Something else that you may have noticed, I don't know if you have, but the door synchronisation times are once again a little bit off. Something that I tend to expect with Dovetail Games DLC now. Bearing in mind we are on a double yellow. Okay, so we'll be on a single yellow departing Longbridge. Don't know what that W button does. Seems to keep pressing it out of mistake, but obviously it's a key command for something or another. Let's start braking for Longbridge. See if I can nail this one without the HUD. I'm trying to get a little bit more used to the route now and the physics of the Class 323. The more you drive something, the more you get a feel for the braking controls and everything like that, which is something that I think train drivers learn in real life, is just to focus on the feel of the train. How fast do you think you're going? Is it going to be enough? Are you going to need some more room? Are you going to overrun? So for here, I think I've braked a little bit too slowly. What the hell is this person doing? Walking all over the track. They've got a trespasser. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not very good at all. Oh well. As a result, I've got no idea where to stop, so I'm just going to stop here. Hope that's alright. Looks like we're good. Thank God. So obviously there needs to be some minor improvements made here and there, obviously. Still nice to see that there's some more custom assets that are being used in the route. That's very nice to see. Obviously these are longer platforms, but we're not using them in this iteration. So, right, next up will be Bromsgrove, end of the shift. There we go. So, feels like we've been driving this train forever. Don't know why I've just done that. So we've got 20-mile-an-hour speed limit coming up, so we're going to start to cross over this into the fast lines. Bye. So, what do I think of this route as a whole? I think it's fantastic. I think for your value for money, it's very much worth it. I would give this route all in all a solid 7.5 out of 10. I think they've done really well with the route, with the custom assets and everything like that. It's never a perfect route when it comes to Dovetail games. Obviously, there's too many variables to take into account, but it's never going to be an absolute perfect route. There's always going to be little niggles here and there. With this route, there was the sounds of the Class 323 that were the issue. Thankfully, this free modification has been able to fix that. But I do feel for people who want to buy it straight out the box with no issues. Maybe you don't have the Class 365 or the Class 390 enhancement packs that are both needed to be able to run this sound modification pack. So it's always a matter of trying to balance between what you do have and what you don't have. I've got a pretty fair example at the moment. For example, I have Suburban Glasgow on my PC, and I'd love to download the new Network Scott East. I think it's Network Scott East, yeah, Network Scott East route that has been released over at Alan Thompson's in, but I can't download it because I don't have one of the DLCs that is required to get the route to run. And one of those DLCs basically is basically a version of Suburban Glasgow that Dovetail Games have done. I think it's done with the same route guy involved, but I have no need to get that version. The only need that I have for it is in case I would like to run Network Scotties, which I do want to do. It's a brilliant route, done extremely well, so it'll just be one of those. One day I'll be able to get that route, and I'll be able to get it through, hopefully on a discount. But until that time comes, unfortunately, we're back to basics again. So here we go, this is the new overhead lines here, but I do notice there are milk bottles. That'll be something to do with the overhead line pack that I need to sort out. I am going to reinstall it, so it'll be my issue. This is not to do with the route, don't worry. If you've got the basic route, you won't have these issues. This is my overhead line pack that's messed up a little bit. So as we head down the Licky, we've got 2.85 miles to go until we hit Bromsgrove. Certainly do need to fix my OHLE pack. It's a bit buggered, that is for sure. I installed it a long time ago, but if you just install it once and you just leave it, it tends to break at some point. And that's exactly what he's done here. This is nothing to do with the original route. The original route will work perfect around here. This is just the modification that I've installed that obviously it's got a few issues on it. So we go down the Licky as fast as we can. 1 in 38 gradient. Nice and fun if you're going up the other way in a freight train, that's for sure. So it looks like we're going to be bang on time into Bromsgrove. That's nice to see after this lovely run. So I do recommend getting the route. It is a very good route, and you have had a nice thorough explore of what you can get with the route. I think for what you get for your money, it's certainly worth it. I think it's no question in terms of that. So I do recommend you get it. It is available from the link in the description below. You can also find the link to the sound modification pack and the OHLE pack that I've just spoken about here that is available. Obviously not taking effect on my PC, but it will work if you've got the OHLE pack available. We're going to Bromsgrove. This is our final stop on this service. Hope you have enjoyed this video. There will be a lot more coming in terms of Train Simulator and Train Sim World and many train themed videos, so don't worry about that. And I do hope you have enjoyed this route review, the first of many to come. This is a route review of Birmingham Cross City for Train Sim 2021. So until next time, hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whatever you're doing, whenever you're watching this. Take care, stay safe, and see you in the next video here on LM Simulation.